Hello, everybody. My name is Brad Clark, and welcome back to the Lost Tapes podcast. That's right. It's been almost one whole year since we recorded an episode, and today I'm joined again by Smog the DM and Ginger King.
Hello.
Hello.
And today we actually have a new guest on. His name is Matthew. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, this is Matthew Salzer, and my YouTube channel is exactly that.
All right, let's get to it. Okay, so we're going to be talking about, for this topic today, instead of us doing a retrospective of the entire series, we're going to be talking about a topic that's been on my mind for some time, and as I think some fans have thought about for a while, is the Lost Tapes timeline. So, let's begin. Okay, so for this one, we're going to be discussing a little about the episode and when it takes place. Let's start with season 1. When does first episode, Chupacabra? Approximately, this takes place in July 5th to July 7th of 2006. This episode's pretty decent, I guess.
Pretty decent? Pretty decent?
I'm kidding. It's actually pretty good. It's a really good pilot for the series. But
yes. It's a really good
It wasn't
start.
without its flaws.
Well, obviously, because it's the first episode of a new show, and not every show has a very good pilot. Unless you're Power Rangers, of course, but I digress.
Or Primal.
All right,
I've never seen that show, so I can't attest to that, but...
I would argue that
Whoa. Pause real quickly. Ginger Yakin.
Oh, for fuck's sake. We just started!
Do you have headphones?
Everybody on the YouTube, this is going to be the new thing. So instead of Ginger King being muted the entire time, he's going to be constantly echoing every so often.
He's going to be acting like a retard. Okay, so
No,
next
he's not
episode.
acting like a retard. Just don't do that.
I'm kidding. Okay, so next episode, Bigfoot. Pretty good second episode. I think it's one of the best. I think it's like one of the least great of the Bigfoot episodes, but it's not terrible. It's not fucking reptilian or Quetzalcoatlus.
Yeah.
Or Quetzalcoatl. This one takes place. This is one of the longer episodes in terms of like when it takes place. Like in the timeline, August 2nd to 2000. August 2nd to the 14th.
To August 14th, 2005.
Sorry, yeah. August 2nd to the 14th of 2005.
I would say
that had
this
to
is...
do with...
No, go ahead.
That had to do with the nature of that episode, which is... I don't know if they ever did that format again, because you know that it was documenting it with her... essentially her vlogs and her reports and
the blogging was
yeah.
The blogging was done again in the following episode with Monterey, but then again, you're right. It doesn't really go too much into the game warden going out and finding the creature out kind of thing.
Yeah, that's always kind of bothered me about the episodes. Like it's more of a vlog style for like Monterey, aka the Smog the DM killer.
Which I had to figure out when this lady started her trek too, and that was the January 27th of 2007. Oh my god!
Circumnavigating the globe.
I would like to comment the least good Bigfoot episode. I highly disagree with that. I think this is the second best. Swamp Creature is by far the worst in my opinion because that was so ungodly boring and slow and uninteresting.
Also, while we're on the subject of Bigfoot, I just for a certain two people that I know are gonna watch this podcast, but now there's this big giant joke in the Lost Tape server that we have for season 4 about me actually liking the Ranger girl from Bigfoot. There is a massive joke about it.
Oh dear.
She's a good-looking woman.
I know,
You're
but we
just
don't
saying-
need.
okay, you're
Matthew's
making
not
it
wrong.
worse.
Matthew's not wrong.
She's a good
Well-
looking woman. It's just, you know,
Nah, that hot Asian at the beginning of Reptile is fine looking. Anyways, let's continue.
Reptilian, not rep. Oh, well, it kind of works. Reptile for Mortal Kombat.
Reptilian.
Mortal Kombat.
Oh my god.
Okay, so it starts January 27th. I never knew that. I thought it was happened July 17th of
The
2007.
actual episode starts on July 17th, but it's when she started her journey of the entire ocean. It was January 27th.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay,
Yeah.
so what's the swamp monster?
Swamp creature.
Swamp creature happens on when
That
I turned 7. I turned 7 that day.
Yes, this happened October 13th, 2006, and this is probably my least favorite episode, looking back on it.
I mean, that is the only good thing about this whole episode is for me, not only is it because it's my birthday at that episode, but also I did like how they talked about the alligators a lot in the entirety of the episode, how they were impacted by the hurricane.
Yeah, and we forgot to mention in our podcast, in case you're wondering what my thoughts are on swamp creature. Boring. Like
Thank you.
I rather like how Izuru Kamakura views the world.
Zero. Oh god.
Izuru Kamakura. Okay, so next one, Oklahoma Octopus. This one was kind of hard. This is where the timeline kind of gets hard to pin down because it'll mention like time periods of what like certain stuff, like certain seasons and stuff, and not really be consistent when it happens. For Oklahoma Octopus, I approximated sometime around May or June of 2008.
Actually, I have something different. Since throughout the entirety of the episode, they keep mentioning like this is their last adventure together before college. And usually before you go into college, it's like in August. And I think it's barely mentioned one time, if you don't catch it quick enough, that it does actually say August 2008.
Oh my goodness. Oh dear. Fucking hell.
No, it's okay, dude. It's okay.
I know.
I mean, this is a more-
restart
this is a-
again.
Hey, no. This is a more casual talk about the timeline, okay? And the fans can interpret the timeline however they wish, alright?
It's all good, all right.
Yeah, this is when the continuity really started to, go a little. It's like Resident Evil. Like there's no continuity, and
we're talking about an anthology series here, so the continuity is just naturally going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
An anthology.
True.
It's
like what Smaug said, looking back on this episode, I really didn't dig it at first, but looking back, this is probably one of my favorite episodes.
Same here. It's actually one of the best. It's definitely, at this point in time, it was definitely probably one of the scariest episodes of the series. Like, not like scary, like, but more so like, I guess, like psychologically scary.
Yeah.
A little unsettling at times.
Yeah,
But again,
right.
I do have to agree with Smaug. The ending is such horseshit. That's the thing I will agree on. That ending
the ending was BS. The ending was BS. Guy is in has a cast in his one arm and is trying to save the other girl, who's probably the one who got almost yeeted down into the bottom of the lake.
They get to shore. This same animal yanked 3 of their friends down into the depths and drowned them and ate them. So it's like, how in the world are they going to fight this thing off and get to shore?
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, now looking back on it, it's kind of like what makes this episode scary is like the fear of water. What's underneath?
aquaphobia.
I should also note that's assuming that there's only one of the creatures.
Yeah,
Let's let's face it. Even if we're talking about maybe they reference how it's like a size of a horse. One human should be enough to feed that.
Yeah, it should be.
So the idea that
I think I accidentally cut out again.
Can you repeat
it's
that
okay.
again, Matthew? The idea of a horse.
the
size
idea
octopus being-
of an octopus the size of a horse needing to eat 3 people is it's like how an anaconda, it keeps coming, the animal keeps coming back for more people. It's just like animals don't need that much food. It's like they don't need that much food. So the idea that this octopus is going to come back for 3 different people and then try to make attempts on 2 more is not realistic.
Actually, no.
like you're
I hate to say this, Matthew. You are kind of wrong on that, because cats, house cats especially, they'll kill just for the hell of it. They usually have that sense of killing animals for the hell of it. Like, you
but
know how
that's
sometimes if you have a house cat and he usually brings either like a dead bird or a dead mouse in all the damn time. That's
Yeah.
probably the same thing this octopus is doing. But
To make its master happy.
Yeah, but that's cats we're talking about. Cats are have a very different mentality to an octopus. An octopus is all about survival.
mhm.
It's so the idea that an octopus would have the intelligence to try to eat more than is necessary is not realistic. But then on top of that, if it was just killing for the fun of it, why didn't the bodies show up?
Yeah, it seems like it's killing for sport, but
if it kills for sport, then the bodies would have been found. They were never found.
It's kind of like the Yawa in Predator. It kills for sport.
Yautja.
Am I even saying that right? The Yawa?
It's Yautja.
Or
Yautja.
Yacha.
Well, it it's for an octopus like being, it's not realistic. They don't octopi, if we're gonna be specific, don't kill for sport. They kill for food. That's or for defense. And would have had no need for defense. They were on the surface.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so next episode, what was that
Devil
one again?
Dragon.
Devil Dragon. Junior. This one was kind of tough. Yeah, this one was kind of tough to decipher because they really didn't talk which date. So me and B-Rad had to go and try and find out what month this was in, because it looked like it was in the summer a little bit, but at the same time it could have been in early spring or late spring. But I mean, it was in the Amazonian rainforest or wherever this guy was filming.
No, it was in
Australia.
Northern
Australian rainforest. And
that Northern Australia, there's like that brief area where it's not desert, where it's an actual rainforest.
Yeah, and this did happen in 2007. They did acknowledge that. This is one of the dumbest episodes of the whole show. Literally one of the dumbest. And Smoke went into fine detail with it when he talked about in his ranking videos.
I just hate it because
it's stupid. I really wouldn't call it stupid. Only because the actual animal, considering, it is Megalania, would actually do that. It would bite and then stalk back after a while and just let the venomous bite, it's not bacterial bite anymore, it's venomous bite,
I always
seal
thought it
the
was
deal.
venomous again. But wouldn't the Megalania want to hunt down the person again because it's much larger than a human?
Well, it looks like for this episode they brought it down to more like the size of a Komodo dragon. But yeah, the Megalania was the size of a car, so it would have been a little bit more. Probably would have been a little bit more aggressive. But I guess in order to make it look more feasible, because we're talking about something hiding in the rainforest, then I guess they made it look a little bit more smaller to the size of a more like the size of an alligator.
Well, that, and then from a story standpoint, it wouldn't make sense for the main character to just get murked off once he got attacked one time. So to extend the episode out, then you would have to have him be bit a little bit, and then let the poison do most of the work.
Yeah,
Well,
that makes sense.
Well, again, that's how Komodo dragons work. They'll for larger prey, they'll bite you once, and they'll just
wait.
let the venom or the poison take its toll on you. Whereas, maybe I know that with smaller prey, they will just
Yeah. So this one was kind of hard.
crush it and then take it down, but you have to consider smaller versus larger prey.
Yeah. This one was difficult to pin down. I approximated. This is like a shot in the dark. Obviously, it happened 2007. Given what was stated, if I'm correct, I approximated somewhere around June or July, but I'm willing to say maybe March or February because the seasons down under are flipped.
Yeah, and I think you would want to do it when it's a lot cooler than, when it's blistering hot. It's like the theory of people going to Florida over the summer, like a certain somebody here, who's crazy enough to do it, and then everybody tells you, no, you're insane, dude. It's like 120 degrees down there over the summer, and you're kind of right. So you think, at the least, if it's like during the winter, it would be a lot cooler to be in the rainforest. I mean, sure, it's still gonna be hot as hell, but it's at least a little nicer to do that. So you would have to pin down probably when the winter season, or whatever darn season it is in Australia that makes the rainforest slightly cooler.
Oh yeah, well the reality is the rainforest it's not going to get that much cooler because in order for all those plants in order for the plants and animals to survive, it's not going to get like freezing or
Right.
even maybe like a few degrees near that. It's going to be where it's temperate enough for all those animals to survive. So
Okay, so next one, cave demons. This one was very easy to track down because it's sort of based off real historical events. So 9/11, of course, that happened, and then the episode mentions they began their bombing campaign in 2001, which sounds very realistic. And then the episode itself takes place within a 24-hour period. January
it takes 2 days. January 24th and January 25th, 2002.
Correct. Yes. Okay, so this cave demons.
Bronson Cave was the filming
right.
location. Bronson Cave was the filming location.
Oh,
where's the location at?
Bronson's Cave. It's in what used to be called the Fox Ranch. It's a local area in LA where it's a lot. There's been a good 30 TV shows and movies that have been filmed at that location. This is one of them.
I think even the Wendigo episode uses that same cave too, if I remember correctly.
Well, and I don't know if you guys ever watched Dragon Wars, but that also had a scene filmed there. Or one of the Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country, that was also they filmed that as well. Episodes of Batman was also filmed there. There was a lot of stuff filmed there. It's a historic cave.
Mm-hmm.
There is only one word to describe this episode. Underrated. One of the most underrated episodes in the entire show. Cave demons. Yes.
Yeah, this one's kind of underappreciated. It gives me like the Aliens vibe a little.
Yes.
I don't know if that was intentional, but it gives me like specifically when they're underground, under the nearby the nuclear reactor in Aliens 2.
Even though they already do a full-on forced alien one later on.
And don't worry, we'll talk about that one here in a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so next one, Owlman. Now before we said this,
the Death Raptor.
Yep.
Now before we started this, Smile gave me some disclosure when the first witness actually, the old woman saw the creature.
So technically, when they do the interview with Hazel Van Leer, which is not even like fully recorded, in the episode itself. Like there's only bits and pieces of it, and the narrator just describes the entire thing. But technically, when they said 30 years prior to this actual episode, so Hazel Van Leer technically then had her encounter October 23rd, 1977, when she was in Cornwall, England.
Yeah, that's okay. So then, and to jump off that same footnote, they started their investigation October 23rd of 2007, 30 years later, approximately. When is the investigation? Correct me if I'm wrong. The investigation all was contained in one day and
Yes,
one
the
night.
entire investigation was done in one day, but just
Okay,
barely,
so
just barely.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Owlman, that one's a pretty decent one.
Yeah. Of note with this episode, I did some digging, and I forget who the main investigator guy is, but he's playing a fictional character of himself.
Is that
Like,
so?
He's an actual paranormal investigator.
Yeah, so he actually did a I forget what the guy's Mark something or another, but his actual name is Mark, and he actually does paranormal investigation. So
Very fascinating. That's
I
so
mean, this
cool.
episode has always been rumored around one word, eerie. I go a step further. This is unsettling. It is uncomfortable as all living hell. Like,
yeah, it gives me the chills. It gives me the chills.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it does.
The fact that there's a kid involved and she like kind of got taken away for a little bit and got held hostage, and the old woman like sacrificing herself. It's so insane throughout the whole episode. And
Yeah,
you can't get a feeling, but you can't have a feeling that you're trying to say words here.
Paranormal investigators wish that they could experience something like that. Most paranormal investigation shows are just like, nothing happened, and
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I'm sorry we're being a little bit slow here, but next episode, the Megaconda.
Of note, my review for this episode is currently the top trending video on my channel right now.
Oh damn!
Oh,
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
I don't know how, and especially considering that I think I put out late last year, but it's still trending, and I put a generic picture of to avoid copyright. I put a generic picture of a anaconda on the front, and it's still top trending video video on my channel right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
As someone that hates snakes, and trust me, I hate snakes. I do not like them. I have a fear of them. I love this episode.
And this is my theory. I theorize the Megaconda is actually a titanoboa. It's way too thick to be a actual mega-sized anaconda.
Yeah, but I have been yelled at multiple times by a bunch of paleontologists that Titan boa was not discovered yet before this episode came out. So it could have been a Titan boa before Titan boa was official, but
but the proportions are all wrong. That is not an anaconda. That thing is way too.
That's way too long.
It is. Well, the size of it is just out of proportion. It looks like someone may have done is someone took like a stock picture of some regular snake and plopped it in there. I mean, the way it's going.
Well, I figured it was just a carbon copy of Anaconda from Anaconda.
No,
it might be. Okay,
the anaconda and anaconda is more normal proportions. This one is it just looks like a normal snake, and as a result it just looks wrong with that size.
The only thing that I don't get about the episode is that a dog dies, but it got bit. Why didn't it swallow it whole?
It didn't get bit. It got squeezed, I thought.
Yeah, it got
No,
squished.
it
Oh,
got
it got
bit.
squeezed.
It got squished.
Oh,
Yeah, 'cause
well,
there's
then
no
why
bite
didn't
marks.
Oh yeah, that's true. Then why didn't
There
they
was
eat it
blood all over the
afterwards?
place.
That's why I'm saying this. It's like I love lost tapes. Don't get me wrong, but it has a lack of like consistency here about certain stuff, or
Well, this
ignores
is like
Again,
details.
what we were talking
probably
about with Oklahoma.
for story reasons, because you need to see like the security guard lose somebody, so you obviously
Yeah.
need to have the dog like out there so we could actually physically see it dead.
Well, this
Yeah,
And
that
it's
makes
also
sense.
and it's also hard on the audience too, because oh no, a dog died. It's like shit.
Oh yeah, just like Old Yeller.
Well, again, this is similar to what I was talking about earlier with the Oklahoma octopus. These animals, these animals are not behaving the way that animals are normally supposed to behave. So, but then again, in this episode, it swallows two people. It's I forget who the investigator was, but it took him, and then it took Tobar, the warehouse owner. So.
Mhm.
Yeah, the main
it
bad
was-
guy. I love Tobar's death because it's a horrible. Don't get me wrong, that's a horror.
Yeah.
Well, it's like terrible how they executed it, but like I
And
felt satisfied still.
clearly where he was positioned, it should have been possible to actually see the Megaconda like strike him down. That was BS
Or at
when they said they
minimum-
couldn't catch it on cam.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to
you see
say.
the flailing, like the snake, like as the snake's curling around him or whatever. But yeah, you see nothing.
I'm like, look, at the end of the episode, they're like, the security camera failed again. I'm like, that is such bull. It's a 40-foot long snake. How do you not catch that on camera?
Because
Maybe
it was
because
looking at the
reasons.
car. I'm like, oh my god. Give me a break.
Plot.
That car stopped after a while. You shouldn't have been
Plot.
zooming
Okay.
on it.
Okay, so
Next
so
one.
this episode, this is where the problems comes in because again like lack of consistency and
And CG.
it only
was not good.
Wait, I think
it
we're
does
skipping
not
one.
mention it does. What do you mean?
Yeah, no, wait, we're skipping one. Hold on. Yeah, we did skip one, because
Yeah.
we're not on our dreaded
Nope.
one quite yet. Next one's actually Ginger's favorite.
Thunderbird.
Which one?
Thunderbird.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
Let me
so
let me clarify something.
Quick thing about Megacon, this takes place in summer 2008, unless I'm wrong.
Nope,
Yeah.
you're right. You're
Okay.
right.
All right, let me take the floor here for this one because I want to clarify something. Okay, Thunderbird takes place in for 2 days. One, that has to be bullshit because I'll get to that here in a second. Thunderbird, it's from November 16th through the 17th of 2007. Basically, if you don't know what the episode is, it was these 3 kids and they're going to the skate park to film a video for their parents. Okay.
In the middle of a national park.
I have stated for months that this is my worst episode, and I've told Smaug and everyone else that.
Mm-hmm.
After
Yeah.
rewatching it, this was not a terrible episode, but it was still pretty bad. And let me explain why. After Smaug has said that because it's a racial thing, this is the only episode that has African Americans and children involved, you can't hate it. Therefore, he has a reasoning. But the reason why I hate it is because A, it's ungodly boring. 2, the continuity is out the ass in this one. It takes them that long to go to a skate park. How far is this skate park?
Really deep in the woods, apparently.
Apparently, like it's not even a skate park. It's just a little
The
sewage.
ditch. Yeah, it's a little
Exactly.
sewage. How would anyone find that in the middle of a national park?
Maybe. Okay, so Thunderbird, it still should have been that eagle I mentioned in the last podcast. I forgot what's it called, but it picks up children. Would have fit perfectly, but they decide to go with it's a pterodactyl or maybe a condor.
Okay, yeah, that's the thing. The continuity and the inconsistency of this episode makes me hate it. It's not my worst episode because there's some worst ones, but I'm like, Jesus Christ. Okay, first of all, you have 3 children, And one of them gets hurt because the other one decided to be a total douche for no reason. And practically and they legitimately ditch him. Why would you do that? That horror movie trope has been done to death for so many years that it is ungodly stupid.
Well, yeah,
All right.
you know what else is another horror movie trope that's been overused? Is that the kids have freaking plot armor, so they can't die. Because nobody wants to see a kid get murked.
Unless
Exactly.
you're a movie called It.
Or
Oh,
Jaws.
All right, so next up one, Skinwalker.
One last comment about Thunderbird.
Go ahead.
So one thing is that the Thunderbird mythology in Native American mythology does actually make sense because it comes from the Chicago area, and this is supposed to take place in Chicago. That's probably the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's much larger than what's it called?
I think you were thinking of the Harpy Eagles.
No, it's another one. But the Thunderbird in Native American mythology, at least according to one book, is about 2 miles long, or something like that. But
and again, I want to clear the air with Thunderbird. I still think it's a bad episode. Don't get me wrong. I still think it's god awful. But it's not the worst episode, because trust me, there is a episode that I'm going to bash.
Oh, I agree.
I have to give credit where it's due. There were kids involved, and they can only do so much.
Yes,
but
and it's still the only episode that has a full-on kid cast, by the way.
And that has some diversity. Let's put it at that.
Yes, correct.
Because yes, there are some Asian people in season 3. And I guess season 2 when you count the Jersey Devil girls.
Yeah.
Oh, you forgot the Mexicans in episode 1, Chupacabra.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like what Smell kind of summed it up. And when he talked about like why he can't hate the episode, and that kind of changed my mind. I'm like, you know what? That's fine with me.
If we're gonna talk about the diversity thing, Cave Demons did have a Hispanic and black guy in there, and then
although of course they did use that first trope of black guy always dies first in that episode too. So that was a little oof. Yeah, no.
and then Swamp Creature, the guide is black, so.
Yeah, but he didn't die in that episode. I mean, he was horribly injured, yes, but he didn't die. That's the thing.
I thought besides the one guy died in Cave Demons. Unless I think so next one, Skinwalker. This one's a pain in the ass to pin down. There's no dates.
It is.
There's nothing. There's the only mention of spring break, and if I had to approximate it, I approximated it based on spring breaks. I don't know where this episode takes place exactly, so it's hard to pin down.
I'm gonna stand somewhere different because technically, Sam was breeding sheep at that time, and they were giving birth. And technically, you don't birth lambs until January, February. Actually, February is probably the latest that you can have lambs. So it's probably more of his winter break than anything.
Well, it breaks the continuity again. Even though it says spring break, well, breaks the continuity, I guess.
Yep, because I'm a sheep farmer here, and I rule against that. Unless there's somebody that says in the comments down below that out west they breed sheep a lot later in the season.
Yeah, that's what I learned in my animal science class. I've stated before on this episode, this is probably my favorite episode of season 1. It is so intense once that lamb gets slaughtered and looks like a fucking pillow for some reason. It goes from 0, like it literally, like when you hear like the mother calling and all that stuff, and then you hear the sheep getting attacked. I'm like, oh shit, yep, it's gone. And then it goes from 10 Like it goes from like a 1 to a 10, like in a heartbeat, like that. And then that one scene where they hit the old Native American woman, and it turns out that the lamb was actually in the little coat thing, and the fox runs off. That was one of the most chilling endings I've ever seen to a thing. And actually, funny thing, when we did our live stream, or not live stream, we were going to, but Twitch screwed it up. When we did a marathon of watching the Skinwalker episode, we actually saw every form of it. I think it was a raven at one point. It was like an old woman at one point, and I think it turned into a fox, and then I think it turned into a wolf, I believe.
Coyote.
A coyote.
It was mostly coyote.
Yeah, coyote. That's right.
Sorry. Okay.
And technically, Skinwalker's the first episode where we do have an actual creature death, if you want to call it. This is the first legitimate episode where the creature dies.
Yeah, this is one of the first instances of a creature kind of dying.
I don't think it died. I'm because you see it walk off. I don't think it died. I legitimately don't think it died. I have to disagree.
Really?
Also,
because
if you think about it,
you see it walk off in its coyote form.
It did, but we did. Well, then again, we didn't see any blood. We just heard a howling, so it probably might have changed it.
And we did hear a thud of the car. So I mean,
just because it got hit didn't mean that it still couldn't have morphed and then walked off. I mean, I don't know if Skinwalkers are supposed to have like accelerated healing or anything like that,
or super speed like the Flash. Yeah, I think when I watched Skinwalker recently with the live stream, I used to not like it, as I mentioned in the last podcast, but I think it's gotten better with age, personally.
It's grown on you.
That and just
it's
because
really grown
people
on
are
me.
starting to like Skinwalkers a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of popularity. Also, one more thing before we move on. When that Indian was talking about Skinwalkers, he was probably uncomfortable talking about it. I'm willing to bet that guy was uncomfortable.
They're very uncomfortable talking about.
Well, literally, the Skinwalker is even worse. Let's just say it's even worse than us talking about Satan. It's even worse.
Oh, I've looked it up. It's like 50 times more terrifying.
That's like us actually talking about Cthulhu. Like that's how fucking scary this thing is.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, so next one, Mothman. This is correct me if I'm wrong, this is the longest episode in terms of its history.
Yes, in terms of the timeline, this is absolutely the longest episode.
Yes.
So 2 weeks before December 14th to the 15th, and we have a gap in when the bridge incident happened.
Actually, we have two gaps. We have two gaps in this episode. There's like a middle part where the Mothman does destroy a bunch of Christmas decorations, and I still have no idea when that was recorded within the episode. But there's a gap between when he first encounters the creature on December 4th to December 14th when he's at the bridge a lot more. And then then there's the second gap between when the bridge collapsed and when he's in when he's in DC with the FBI.
FBI, open up!
even though it was a screw loose, on the bridge.
Quote unquote.
And fun fact, this is actually the oldest Lost Tapes episode because this was back in '67.
Yep.
This is the oldest in terms of the timeline. This happened first.
Oldest in terms of the timeline.
This is the very first monster encounter in the whole series. That's at least confirmed.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so next one. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that Mothman was a grower to me because when I first watched it, again, I thought it was fucking boring. I'm like, this is so uninteresting, nothing happens. When you actually turn your brain off and you kind of like ignored the family drama going on, it's actually a pretty good episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly how to explain. Like part of me would say like reboot the episode, but how would you reboot this? It's kind of like you're in a really awkward position. At least that's what I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
kind of
so the
hard now
next.
to do something that's from the 60s a little bit nowadays.
All right, so next one, the one and legendary death worm. This
Oh
one.
yes.
This
one-
I actually had to pull a lot of research into. I did. I actually did the research.
Filmed
Because
in
technically
Death
there is
Valley?
no AVT or ATV race that goes on in the Gobi Desert. But there is
No
this
Gobi
like trek
500?
that actually happens.
So there's no Gobi Desert 500.
No.
No, there is a Gobi Desert trek that's like a 6 to 7 day walk. And I kind of based around the time frame of that. So technically for me, I'm going to say this. The incident happens between June 25th to June 26th of 2008.
Yeah, and it fits with the summer of 2008, as it's mentioned.
Yes, correct. Because it does happen in the summer. It's just it needed like a legitimate date to it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
of note-
This. Go ahead.
Of note is that it was filmed in Death Valley, California.
Where they do a lot of Gobi Desert stuff.
Yeah.
So wait,
Well,
wait.
It's a valley and there's a lot of dunes. So all you have to do is film where there's in like the direction where there aren't mountains and film downwards towards the dunes, and you've got the Gobi Desert. So
Exactly.
So wait, this wasn't Death Valley. So does that mean the Undertaker's going to show up?
What? Oh, wait, that just flew past my head. What?
That's for my little wrestling references there. But I will say that Death Worm, I actually kind of have a soft spot for it because, well, yes, the dudes are absolutely stupid, and the last guy being a total dick for no reason. I actually kind of dig it a little bit because of how they talk about the worm and all that stuff and kind of how it relates to eels. And the costume design looks a little cheesy, but it actually kind of effective.
I really don't like the death worm design. I kind of like the more generic one where it has like a giant mouth of like sharp teeth all around its mouth. You'll see it on the screen right here. But yeah, like that's just my minor nitpick. Okay,
yeah, I really
so
didn't like the death worm's look because it looked too much like an earthworm, and I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know whether that's threatening or not.
Well, they
used
100% practical
that
effects.
threatening.
I'm just so surprised how they were able to get the trails as they did.
Yeah, that I have no idea how the heck they pulled that off, and I want to know how they pulled it off.
Also, I want to know, how does a worm pull a 178-pound dude?
Yeah, that's
There were
makes
multiple
no
worms.
sense.
There were multiple worms. Remember?
That's true too.
Well, that could be. All right.
If one, you could question it, like let's say 7 or 8. That's more reasonable.
Mm-hmm. I think the max I've seen was like 4, maybe 5 of them with the last dude getting murked. There were like 4 or 5 of them coming towards him.
I mean, that's
That
like
was
similar.
pretty interesting.
Well, let's face it. You know, it's that's like how the zombie hordes have their strength. They have strength in numbers. I mean, you could. It's like even unarmed, you could easily take out one zombie. But
I guess technically
keep
the
upping
best
the
way you can
numbers.
just hold on. All right, no, I'll let you finish.
But yeah, you keep increasing the numbers, and you know it becomes numbers regardless. It's just you know that's it's mathematically it starts to work against you. So same thing with let's just say the same thing with the Mongolian death worm.
Yeah, I guess you could say technically with this episode, it's a poor man's version of Tremors.
Yeah, because at least with Tremors, it's in on the joke.
Yeah, but with this one, not so much. Not so much. It wants to take itself seriously, and it doesn't quite work. But it's okay. It's okay though. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one, Hellhound.
Oh,
This
my
one
favorite
takes place.
intro.
Oh,
Favorite intro.
This one takes place in
Oh.
quote unquote autumn of 2005, and rewatching it, I thought there was a cut character. No, one of the characters was very underutilized. I think it was like Luna, I think, and I also
it was
saw,
one of the goth chicks.
yeah, and then one of the girls had like a bathroom at what's it called, a
Yeah,
bathroom textbook.
Yeah, you basically had I forget what her name was, but I refer to her as the mistress. You have the mistress, you have the two goth girl assistants, you have the goth boy, and then you have the
new girl.
The
new
mysterious
girl.
demon. The mysterious
Do you know
demon
what the
that's
funny
on-
thing is? The funny thing is there was technically 5 people. There was one character that showed up during that whole ritual thing, never to be seen again. There was technically 5 people. It was probably a crew member. If you look at the episode,
the
you know what I'm
accidental
talking.
shot. YouTube, you're gonna see this. I'm gonna pause it when that happens. But there is Ginger King's right. There is an additional dude in the background when they're sitting around doing the whole ritual.
Oh, yeah, and it's kind of like the same thing with what's it called, Swamp Monster. You see a crew member's foot.
Yeah, that
And
too.
then especially in Devil Monkey 2, the guy who's playing the Devil Monkey, you get to see his boots on the bottom. There's not actual feet for the Devil Monkey. Boots.
I thought he was wearing Vans, but I guess he's not very financially sound, as Coleman says.
Okay,
Okay.
I want to get this one out of the way real quick. This is my worst episode of season 1.
Yeah,
I
could
mentioned that Swamp Creature is the worst. At least with Swamp Creature, it was kind of interesting.
It does kind of. Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
This was ungodly boring, uninteresting. I don't want to see a 30-minute episode about a bunch of goth emos doing goth shit. If I wanted to see that, I can literally go and watch Monster High. Because at least with that show, you get some entertainment value. This was unnecessarily stupid.
They are pretty stupid.
The only 2 things I kind of like, Smouk said it, the intro's pretty badass, and 2, the ending's a little eerie. Besides that, nothing. Literally nothing about this episode is interesting.
You can kind of tell it's kind of appealing to the masses.
I hate to admit this, but that episode in particular does open up the idea of having demons in the series. Just because Nora would be a good candidate for it, because she is petting literally the Hellhound right after the crash.
I noticed they did see the creature 3 times. They saw it twice, which is interesting, I suppose, unless she opened her eyes intentionally.
The dog.
The Rottweiler.
That is one of the most badly props I've seen terrible props in my lifetime. That has to be one of the laziest props Okay, you'll look at the picture of the Hellhound when they like a Photoshop of it. That thing looks beastly.
Mm-hmm.
You got the freaking dog from Up, and you put red eyes on it.
I mean, they could have gone with. I'm surprised they didn't go with a pit bull.
They could have gone with a German Shepherd and just painted the dog black, or
I'm
not
looking at
painted
the episode.
it, but like post-edit, like make it shadowy so it's black.
I'm watching this episode. I'm like, why did they get chopped from frickin' GTA 5 to play a dog?
They could have used a Doberman. They could have used a Doberman. That would have worked
exactly.
A lot better.
Why did they have to go with a Rottweiler? I wanted to give that thing a hug. I wanted to give that thing a hug. It just wants a hug.
They should have done.
That's what Nora gave it at the end. Well, she pet it, but
I think they should have done like a Mastiff, like one of the more dangerous dogs, like a Mastiff.
Yeah, but then Animal Planet was playing pit bulls and parolees, and obviously you can't have a pit bull in this. So
True.
it's like,
Okay,
A
so
pit
here's
bull
the
may
next
be
one.
vicious, but it's not like the big hulking dog that you want from a supernatural dog
Creature.
demon.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, so here's the next one. Vampire. There's
Oh
actually
God.
there's three different dates on
Congratulations,
here to mention. The gas station
congratulations,
attack.
you just triggered a Vietnam flashback.
Oh great. So there's 4 important dates on here. When I organized, I did some non-canon, well, some stuff. Not non-canon, like basically like mini details. Okay, so here's the timeline. April 5th was the gas station attack at
Jesus
approximately,
Christ.
I think 1 or 3 a.m. because J Station. Okay, so
come on,
then
stop.
the next one, a few months later, January 5th was when they moved
July
into
5th,
the
July
house.
5th.
July 5th, and then a few days later, that's when the recording all happened, all within a 48-hour period,
Yeah.
approximately.
Something I should note. I looked on all the IMDb's for the series, and for each individual episode, and it lists not for all of them, but lists the locations for some of them. And for Vampire, it actually was filmed in a house in Los Angeles. Like they listed the address.
Ooh.
Well,
Is that house
we're
available?
not going to dox the address.
Wait, is that
but-
house available? Oh, please tell me it is.
I have no idea. You'd have to look it up.
Do you
But
really
Damn
want to
it.
go into the? Do you
Damn
really
it.
want to go into that basement though, Smaug?
Yeah,
Think about
Yeah.
it.
IMDb, well, keep
Just
in
so I
mind,
get a
IMDb
bigger
already doxed
PTSD.
it, so
Where? I don't
I-
see.
I've preferenced this before,
God.
and Smaug, you and I can highly agree with this. This is the most terrifying episode out of the whole show. People say Wendigo's terrifying, at least for its like realistic nature.
That and
This-
the one part of Wendigo that I will agree is really hard to watch, which is when the bone was sticking out, and it's like, oh God.
Yeah, that
Oh.
was.
Yeah, ow. I can feel that. And I didn't have any broken bones.
Oh, just the crunch of it is it's unsettling.
Oh, don't
This
remind
is
me, I can
without
already
a
hear
doubt.
it. I can hear it right now. Oh my God.
I am reliving that.
And not
This
gonna
is
lie,
what-
partly because of it, I still have not. I still sometimes like afraid of like a monster coming out of my closet, like popping up and jump scaring me. Because of
I'm
this
I'm
episode.
always afraid of a new house just because of the vampire episode.
I do
This
have
is
the
without
old
a
house.
doubt. I have preferences again and again, and I'll say this till the day I go into I
Right.
lay to rest.
Mm.
This is without a doubt the most terrifying episode, and the reasons why, the intensity never lets up from this episode. It does not. Once that one guy gets knocked off, the intensity, like, it's shallow, but once it shows up, it does not go away.
I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna
And
disagree with you on that, but it's
Yeah,
literally the
reprieve.
intensity starts the minute the episode begins. Because when you have the kid going through the room and you start hearing the clawing up on the roof, I'm like, yep, fuck this, I'm done. I can't keep going.
No. When the guy, not when the exterminator gets attacked. It's when that first guy in the gas station gets attacked.
Oh God.
Yeah, that one.
Oh God.
Not only that, but the intro is fucking terrifying within its own.
It does.
I swear
This
to
episode,
God.
this episode, I have to say, the intensity doesn't fucking stop. It's, I hate using this as an example. It's like Rise of Skywalker if it just remained the action-packed consistency that it did, instead of like having it like every 2 moments go off to something stupid.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
remember watching this when I think I was 7 or 8.
Oh my God.
I was watching, of all things, my mom put in a VHS, or was it? I think it was a DVD of
It's a
Clifford the
DVD.
Big Red Dog, the Big Red movie. If you remember that, I
I have
remember
not
watching
seen
that, and oh, please do. I love it. I love Clifford. It's my childhood. Anyways, I was going to channel 75, which was Lost Tapes, and I couldn't really see anything because it was all staticky, because that's how my TV was. I vaguely remember when that fucking thing crawls into the kid's bed.
Pulls up
You
the string
thought-
pulling off the sheets.
No, okay. You thought the basement scene
Please,
was shit your
good
pants.
God.
That
Stop.
one's even worse.
That moment.
Stop.
I will say this for eternity. That moment is without a doubt the most terrifying thing in the entire show. And there are some shit your pants moments on that show. I will say that. But to me, a creature unknown crawling up to you, getting face first in your grill, is without a doubt the scariest thing in the whole show. You can fight me on that. You can say, well, a creature popping out like this and doing all that stuff. No. That is peanuts compared to what this fucking episode did.
I'm
can't
having nightmares
watch
tonight,
this.
boys. I'm having nightmares.
I am too, and I'm visualizing this shit.
I'm
Alright,
just
okay.
huddled in
I
a
will-
corner
I
right
will
now,
admit-
afraid for my
Okay.
life. Just
Okay.
don't look at me.
So later on in the episodes, it mentions a few months later, there is the attack on the village that's about 100 miles away. So, it's unknown where the village is, but
And
it's
and again, I do want to clarify that it was several months, and like the consistency of saying several months within this show is kind of off to me, I think.
yeah. And
So
then
it doesn't. You can't really point down an exact month when the next set of attacks were actually happening.
And then actually Matthew, before the show, actually for a while has been telling me why exactly the vampire would be so fuzzy, and it kind of debunks my earlier claim that they did it because of Twilight.
Well, yeah. I was saying there's I've got two different theories as to why they did it, and that's what the first theory, which is probably the more they're equally plausible. But the first one is that there's several legends of Eastern European vampire types that look like that, they look corpse-like, so they just naturally they're just naturally not human-looking. And then the other is that maybe they meant to make these actual natural creatures that just based solely off of blood, and well, humans are giant-sized creatures that you can naturally feast on, and which would explain why they've got the what's it called in the nest in the basement. So those are two of the theories that I came up with.
For sure. Maybe they could have did research, and in fact maybe the Twilight factor did factor in it, but they did take inspiration from, like you said, like other source materials mentioning vampires. Okay, next one, Lizard Man. This one was, I think, it mentions 2 weeks later. We know for the footage of it attacking the dog, it happened around May 4th. May the 4th be with you.
Wait, really? What?
Yeah, if you pay attention hard. Yeah, it mentions May 4th approximately, unless I'm incorrect, and then it mentions 2 weeks later, and if we calculate, if we're going by literal terms, 2 weeks later would be around the 18th to the 20th of May of 2008. This episode is just, it's like a average episode Lost Tapes.
I've always said this is the middle ground episode. This is how you need to create a Lost Tapes episode, is with Lizard Man.
The standard.
Yeah,
it's got its moments, it's got those jump scares when the Lizard Man just pops out of nowhere, but yeah, it drags a whole lot in between.
I will admit something. I actually quite like this episode. I think it's Yes, it's got its cheesy moments, but when that thing pops out, it's actually kind of terrifying. You know?
All right, I'll
Yeah,
agree
for
with you
sure.
on that a little bit. Just because the design of the actual costume is genuinely a little freaky to look at. It is a little freaky.
At least it doesn't look like the monsters from Land of the Lost.
Oh my god.
Thank God for that. Okay, so the next one, Southern Sasquatch. Smog actually cleared some things up. It mentions sometime around the fall of 2007. I approximate around November, due to the mention
You approximated
of
it. You approximated it. Come on.
because of the mention of I think it might have been a line mentioning November. I don't remember exactly, but
There was
Smog, why?
there was no line mentioned, but if you do look at Arkansas, deer season for Arkansas, considering that they were using normal rifles, is around November 14th till December 13th is when deer season happens. And considering that the episode itself, which by the way is still one of my favorite episodes to begin with, considering that it does mention that it is in the fall, it is then November. It's sometime in November
Yeah.
between the 14th till possibly December 1st.
Yeah, and like I said, I give you credit for the November date. Like, I approximately sometime around fall, so that thanks for verifying. Southern Sasquatch is, I think that between if I had to pick Yeti or Southern Sasquatch, I'm kind of gonna flip the dice, but well, roll
Well,
the dice, and
I think
I think Southern
could
Sasquatch is
I could
better.
probably give you a good reason why Yeti could be slightly better, and it's probably because it's more compact more than anything. Like you're crammed into this tiny little space, so it's more claustrophobic than anything. With Southern Sasquatch, it's a lot more open, and genuinely the darkness is kind of the big factor, especially towards the end of that episode.
Yeah. And then there was actually, if you pay attention to the editing, there was a continuity error. The Southern Sasquatch rips the guy's shirt for a second, doesn't start bleeding, then smash cuts to him bleeding. Thanks.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, like Southern Sasquatch, I think is definitely one of the better ones. What do you think about it, Matthew?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more intense ones, especially when it gets dark. Because once it gets dark, you can't really see anything, and it's it knows the woods better than the two prospective in-laws and the prospective brother-in-law, city kid.
Mm-hmm. That and
Yeah,
I
one
do
thing.
want to say this one has the most comedy to it, which I don't know what you guys have an opinion on actual comedy in horror, but I thought it was kind of I really liked the episode just because it actually attempted to be really funny. Right at the beginning before the city boy gets yeeted by the Bigfoot.
Oh yeah, the practical joke. Going walk like a chicken or whatever.
I don't mind the humor in it too, personally. It's not a fucking Marvel movie for sure.
Or
Okay,
any of these.
okay, so the next one is the one and legendary Werewolf. So, Smug, when does this episode take place?
So,
Or the events?
technically the Beast Killer, they did mention that at the beginning of the episode, over a period of 8 months. So really the Beast Killer didn't start her first attacks until July 22nd of 2002. So she didn't really start killing people until then. And then on March 22nd, 2003, that's when we get that one girl get murked at the beginning of the episode. So then from there on, I guess the rest of the episode could be still in March of 03, but again, we're not 100% sure.
Yeah, and if I had to theorize approximately take 2 to maybe 5 weeks of negotiations with the police force, given that it's supposed to be a quote unquote documentary.
Yes.
So probably April at the latest, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I'm gonna be honest. One of the earliest memories of the show that really freaked me out is that transitional phase where she's morphed. It's like it's
Yeah.
definitely her, but she's morphing into the werewolf. It's just like, oh, or maybe that might be her full form. But either way, she's like, the eyes are. She's got all the teeth, and she's slashing at him. It's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, genuinely,
is
when you
freaky.
pause at that moment, her face is absolutely freaky to look at. It's really
it is.
freaky.
Horrifying.
Oh my god!
It is.
And
To me,
that's
it
the
still
reason
kind of
why
looks like a
I was
vampire.
so
It
scared
is
of this episode for a
absolutely
long time.
non-smashable. I will say that.
Oh,
I
It's a
would
hard
not.
pass.
What? Jesus Christ, dude!
No, I
Calm
would
down.
not hit
Calm
that.
down.
Sure you are. Sure you are.
I
You
think
even
his idea is when she's in human form, she's a good-looking girl. But yeah, once she morphs, it's just like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I didn't think
You
she was
can-
that good looking.
You can actually, you could kind of predict it. After that guy died and they suspect that was the killer, you could kind of tell, okay, something's up. And then once they shot back to the girl and that one guy, you're like, then she's the killer then.
Yeah,
Because
pretty much.
there's some shit going. Because there's lights flickering around her and shit. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's probably her then.
Yeah,
The
this is like the first
innocent
one
is
to.
always the innocence can sometimes be the guilty.
Yeah, this is like one of the first episodes of the series that kind of dives into the murder mystery aesthetic, which is, I guess, a nice change of pace. But this episode is just. It's a controversial episode. I don't think it's the worst. If I could choose this and Bray Road, I think Bray Road's a little bit more entertaining, just a little.
Oh my god, yes. Bray Road's a joy to watch. It is.
And Smack, when you and I would like to say, Smack, when you said that you get a FNAF feel off of it, I completely agree. And what's funny is that I started watching Markiplier play FNAF lately, and I can totally get the vibes off of that. I'm like, that is actually true, because it talks about how serial killers and all that stuff, and all that, hunky dory. I just like the episode because it does talk about serial killers. And it does talk about, kind of expect the unexpected, essentially.
Pretty much.
Yeah, essentially. Okay, so next one is, I think, what Smaug, I think, described as the quote-unquote first time that they tried doing an original monster, unless I'm mistaken.
I think so, yes. This should be one of the first OG monsters that they did, which is Death Crawl. So really the whole thing doesn't start until June of 1999 when that the Spaniard survey team was over there looking at the island. And obviously that's how the bug girl, that's what I'm gonna call her, because I don't remember her name. The bug girl figures out that the one medicine that they had in their kit was the way to help alleviate the pain of the centipede bite. And
Yes, and
of course, then a few years later, in June 2002, which took 2 days, they were sitting on that island for 2 days. Actually, killing creatures, which is funny.
And we don't have any dates to verify when this happens, which is unfortunate. But it's approximately.
Yeah, especially with the
June
several weeks. When they said at the end of the episode, several weeks later, that's when the 2 decomposing bodies came up. So.
Wouldn't that take months to decompose? But never states the bodies, what the bodies look like. So
Yeah, it's hard to say. It really depends.
Composition can set in. It just depends on where you're at, but it could set in really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for sure.
Well,
And Death Crawl
one thing I might have added. One thing thing that might have added to it is if the centipedes, ate, like actually started consuming them, that would have added to it.
For sure.
Of course, my question was, how did they get on the boat without them realizing it? But
that's
the thing. That
one, I have
always
no
confused.
idea how to explain that.
That one always confused me. How the hell did they die? Did the thing just literally crawl up onto them and disguise itself as a fucking boat?
Maybe.
I'm sure what probably happened, and I hate saying this, is that it was probably curled up for a while, and once possibly the lady kind of ditched the machete, they really didn't have anything to use to like kill it, and so the centipede just popped out, say, "Yo, what's up?" and killed the two of them.
I think it would have had to have been multiple centipedes.
Yeah, it might have been, but we only get
But again-
verification of a few on the island.
Again, how did any of them get on there? Unless, like you said, they curled up, like they hid on it, they hid there, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then next.
The CG centipedes. It's like I was just like, you know what? It's like it would have looked. It's like would have looked more cheesy, but it would have looked better if you just used the same centipedes that you had the Hispanic guys holding on their necks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Would have made
next
far
one.
more sense.
For sure. I don't really like this episode. This is like one of the bottom tier episodes for sure.
Yeah,
They
this one
used
sucks. This one kind of
Yeah,
sucks.
as we've established, the CG just was not that good for the series. Anyway,
I don't even think they really used CG in this one. I think this was more practical.
They used both. They used practical for like when they wanted close-ups, and they would like the one guy, the Hispanic guy, was like holding it up to his neck when it was supposedly attacking him. But there were a lot of points where they actually used CG, like when they were crawling up on the tent. It's just like, why do you need to use that? It's like get some puppets, plant them on there, use the same strobe light effect.
No, I feel like that was actually a puppet. Because they
you can tell
a lot of puppets for that last scene where she drops the
Well,
camera on the
tent.
boat, and it was just more lighting effects.
I think if I remember right, didn't they use an
CG.
animatronic for the when the thing was on the tent for that one scene?
It looks like it. I don't think it's CG. I think it was either a puppet, an animatronic, or some type of practical effect.
And yeah, let's get to the next one. A white river monster. The only verification you get from this, the only one to get verification is 1 week later. So must be it's probably most likely during the month of June. It's never specified if it's like the month before. It's
I didn't do any
June.
research quite yet, but I'm sure I'll have to do some research later on when Arkansas does their catfish noodling.
Yeah, and this episode sucks too. What's next?
The creature itself. Oh my god! I want to rip this thing to shreds because it's supposed to be a Zoophactinus, yet it lives in this tiny little pool, and it looks nothing like it. It looks like a bony fucking fish. No, it looks like a zombie fish.
It does look terrifying, but the species all wrong and everything.
I don't hate this episode as much as you do, Smaug. Besides those errors, it's like, if you just take the concept of it, like the fish. Okay, yeah, it's supposed to be a big ass fish, but it lives in a tiny pond. It's supposed to be in that little area. Okay, that's stupid. Besides that, it's not actually a half bad episode. The characters are enjoyable, and they have some comedy stuff.
Well, the only enjoyable character in that whole episode is Earl Gaines, and I absolutely agree, especially at that one point where he says, I say we move on. I agree with him. I say we move on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Plus the duck died, so we got
another animal death.
Pay respects to Donald Duck.
Another death.
It's not Donald Duck.
It's a beast duck.
Maybe it's Darkwing Duck.
All right.
Yes.
Next one. Jersey Devil takes place within an 8-hour period during the summer of 2006, unless I'm mistaken.
With two adopted
Yeah, summer
girls. 'cause
2006.
No, I
Two-
meant like,
two-
is it like a specific month that you looked over?
Two
Uh,
girls who are clearly adopted.
Yep.
Yeah, clearly.
You got two Asian girls and two white people. So
No, yeah, no way they had Asian kids.
I
There's
watched
no way.
I watched the video where people, it was called Let's Riff, and it's about a bunch of people, and they talk about they talk trash about the episodes of Lost Tapes. This one, they talk about this one, it's actually kind of funny because when they when the narrator mentions the family, and when it comes to the dog, one of them goes, "Oh, look, it's their son as well. They brought the son with them, and it's the dog." I'm like, come on.
That's not that bad, but this episode's like kind of, it's okay. It's definitely like
Jersey Devil itself, that is pretty well done. Even though you don't really get to see it the whole time, it's like the Jersey Devil. You have to admit that's a pretty good design.
Yeah, the mask itself.
And
I saw the mask. It
considering
looks
that
fine.
this thing is used now in every single intro of season 2 and season 3, like Jersey Devil was their baby. This was their baby episode. They really liked this one so much.
This is like their mascot, essentially.
Yes, essentially. The Jersey Devil is their mascot. Oh my god. Oh my god. That sounds so wrong. It does.
Okay, there's only a couple things I don't like in the episode. One, the dog died, which is sad. Two, okay, there's a couple continuity errors. Why, when the woman gives, basically says the baby is coming, why does it say, why do we see, near the end of the episode, she's running? Oh
yeah,
my god,
that's
it's like
labor.
And also, the car got hit by something. But you see, the lights flash, the lights blinking. Your car battery's dead, essentially. And then another thing, a giant ass freaking flying creature gets taken down by a 2x4 by a pregnant woman. I mean, come on.
Oh, come on, that was badass.
strong.
Come on, that was badass.
I think what Ginger
Hey, that's
like
better than Ray. Hey, that's better than Captain Marvel. Come on.
true.
One thing you have to keep in mind with regards to the woman going after the Jersey Devil. A lot of animal species, if they experience a lot of predators, when they experience resistance from a certain type of animal, they will go over. If they don't think it's worth it, they will back off. So if you got this woman, it's like she might be pregnant, but if she's bashing that thing with a 2x4, the Jersey Devil's gonna be like, okay, nope, this is not worth it. I'm not in an ideal situation. And you back off. Maybe I'll get him later. Maybe I won't. But facing this person head on, especially if you're talking about an animal that faces you head on, because that's where the danger is. You've got claws, you got horns, you got whatever. So certain, for example, in a shark situation, if you're being circled by a shark, the advice is that you face it, because a shark may not realize that you're essentially helpless, but if you face it and you put your hands around towards it, it's not going to attack you from the front. Most predators will attack people from the back. That's why they say in a lot of cases you don't run. So this is a similar situation. I mean, the Jersey Devil's a fictional, in this case, is a fictional creature, but you got to keep animal behavior in mind.
Yeah, which again, like we've discussed multiple times now, at this point, their animal behavior is a little inconsistent, just a little.
Yeah. like one of our writers, one of our reviewers saying like this show has a lot of inconsistencies and this defies the logic of reality, which is both amusing and hilarious and annoying.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to pin down. Like
There's-
what are the rules? What are the established rules of this universe? Okay.
It's basically like a roll of the dice, essentially, sorta.
Oh my god.
Like D&D. No, but okay. Next one is our Xenomorph episode.
Exactly. Our fourth
All we need
Xenomorph
is this-
episode.
We just need the Predator, please.
Well, if
Okay,
if we're not allowed to have demons, okay, then we're not allowed to have the Predator.
Wait, Predator. Wait, what Predator are we talking about? Are we talking about
The
the Predator for the
the
movie
Predator.
Predator?
The
I thought we were talking about Roman Polanski for a minute. But anyways, I digress.
Oh god.
FBI open up.
And yeah, no shit. Like I've seen memes of this episode, LMAO, and come on,
It's perfect.
That's perfect. Also, I think besides the creature effects, probably the second most terrifying thing in this whole episode is probably that black woman's makeup. Holy Christ, woman! You need to step that camera back at least 15 feet. Why do we need to see so much face?
Well,
Goddamn.
and so Smug corrected me with the timeline. This takes place within a 24-hour period, approximately.
Correct.
And it takes place from June 16th, both starting when she left the airbase, started feeling so sick, to arrest, and then getting put into the hospital from June 16th to the 17th of 2008.
Yep, correct. Even though technically they said, like, they're very inconsistent with the episode in terms of timing, because the doctor said that they wanted to do a 72-hour psychic evaluation, but then they said, like, right when the parasite was getting worse, that they were going to transfer her to a specialized facility in the morning. But even then, at the very beginning of the episode, the narrator says, like, it's a 24-hour period. So I'm going to go with the narrator on this and do the 24-hour period. So she dies on the 17th.
Approximately.
The thing I like the most about this episode is that it's a parasitoid, and two, the effects are fucked up. Like seriously, look at that woman. She looks like death. Like probably like 12 minutes into the episode. She's literally rotting away as we know.
That's kind of the point of the episode.
I mean, the big thing that I really don't like this episode for, and this just annoys me because I'm a Jurassic Park fan and I can hear it from a mile away, is that the alien sounds exactly like the Velociraptors from that series.
I'm wondering if it's a free sound effect at this rate, because it's everywhere within the series.
I'm pretty sure it is, and Universal doesn't give a fuck about it.
Yeah, apparently not.
Just like the
Brachiosaurus.
I do want to ruin some people's memories today from this fact, but actually the raptor sound effects, if you're really that curious, are actually sped up sounds of tortoises mating.
Oh
really?
dear. Oh
yes,
no.
That is actually fact. That is a fact. And when I first heard about it, that was pretty sad. That was sad.
All of a sudden, that makes sense.
Wait, slow it down. It's like...
yes, but speed that up and it exactly sounds like the Velociraptors.
Well, how fast are we talking?
That I have no idea.
And the next one is Pearlic monster. Like Solomon's confirmed, the last podcast is a hoax, and this one occurred within one day, June 21st of 2008.
Yep, correct.
And this episode is probably one of the better episodes in terms of the water episodes, but not really.
This
I
episode,
actually quite like this episode.
this episode, I want to say the girls were being smart, but also stupid at the same time. Which is a hard thing for me to even say.
It is what it is. Let's put it that way.
It's what?
It is what it is. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
No,
for sure.
to be fair, being smart in this season, that's an accomplishment. Or being smart in the show is an accomplishment. Let's put it at that. The reason why I like this episode is like when the thing like shows up and the girls are terrified, I actually get excited. Like I'm like, oh okay, you know, it kind of ramps up like the energy and all that stuff. Like when you meet the girls, like yeah, it's whatever and all that stuff. But like when like one girl like goes down and doesn't like come up, you're like, oh shit, something's happening. But then, you know, later on, she's like in the water in which she gets pulled down because, you know, we have to have that one character moment.
Yeah, well, I
That's
think for
when-
me,
sure.
I honestly, I think for me, the really where the episode starts becoming a little terrifying is when the creature itself is out of water and is starting to destroy the camp.
Yeah, when you see, like, when it gets on that van and starts swinging its tail, that's when shit goes all over the place. That's when it goes from 0 to 100 real quickly.
Oh my god.
Oh dear. So next one is the infamous,
Dover
the
Demon.
best episode I think of the season, Dover Demon.
Dover Demon.
And so this one was kind of difficult to pin down when exactly this was, but when we have the clues we do, this is the 30th anniversary, we can pin it down to a specific date.
At least we can do that because the main episode, like really where the episode begins flat out, the night that they go into the woods, is April 21st. That's really when the first sightings of the creature actually happened. So we just pinned it down to that, at least that day, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say
this
that
episode.
This episode to me is the pinnacle of Lost Tapes. Like, it's cheesy and goofy, and they're trying to make fun of it. But at the same time, the actual thing's going after them.
It's terrifying.
It is. It is absolutely terrifying. Like, oh yeah, they make fun of it and all that stuff. But when they get knocked off, you get a little uncomfortable. And Smalk, you've said it numerous times, and I'm here to praise it. That intro is one of the most badass intro of all time. Probably in the whole show for me. Because I'm a rock and I'm a metal fan, so that's kind of my shtick. And you know, once you hear that music, like, oh yeah, it's happening now. And when the guys are talking,
motherfuckers, it's on.
on like Donkey Kong. And the episode itself, like, okay, it's not a demon, it's an alien. We can clearly see it. But when it starts creeping up on that couple that are in that ditch, that's when things get like, okay, you better simmer down there, Charlie. And then alien in your face.
Yeah, and I also did some research when I could pin it down, and when they say this Saturday, the 21st matches up with it, so they actually didn't fuck up with the continuity for this one. And this one approximately takes place in April 20th to April 22nd, correct?
Correct.
Hooray! Emil planned to screw anything up for once. Now please put the show back on the air. Thank you.
I don't think it'll happen.
You know what? Here's what Steve Wilkos has to say about that.
Yeah, it depends on. It really depends on whether we get hit by a flag from them when we do season 4. But I don't know. They probably won't give 2 fucks about it.
Yeah.
Well, let's face it.
We'll see.
All the episodes of the series are on YouTube. No one, they haven't been flagged by them at all.
Exactly.
Or they know about it, but they just don't give 2 shits.
Hell, what was it? Even one of our members, Trike, who's on the server, he even mentioned that Animal Planet literally removed it off their app, off their own
Yeah,
streaming
they did.
service. And the only way I can only find Lost Tapes anywhere is on Hulu, surprisingly.
I don't think they have it
Really?
on Discovery Plus.
I
Hey, you'd
don't
think it
think
would be
they
on
do have
Discovery
it on
Plus.
Discovery Plus.
Oh,
Well, if they removed it off of their show and off of their off of everything off of Animal Planet, then I don't think it'll be on Discovery Plus. But to find it on Hulu, that's actually kind of interesting. But then again, you can just go on YouTube and watch all that stuff. It used to be on Netflix for a while, but then Netflix had to be a massive chode and take all that off.
Yeah, that
But then
sucked.
again,
That sucked. when Netflix
they
took it
still
away.
have.
That was
Then
annoying.
again, they still have the episodes up, and then they, I guess, like, I found this out just a few minutes ago. They have like a bunch of creatures that we never got to saw, like Yamanganda, mainly sea serpents and like Bigfoot sightings, but
Yeah.
that's really besides the point. Okay, so the next episode, well, if Dover Demon had good consistency, here's an episode that tries to be consistent but fucks it up in the first minute of the episode. Zombies. This takes place during Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras,
February, Mardi Gras in February
Mardi Gras.
16th of 2010, and a few days later is when the investigation happened. So this is also on the report. This is one of the oldest events in the entire series. The oldest event is the birth of the first zombie victim on August 18th of in 1960, and this breaks the continuity. It says the episode says he died. The birth certificate, if I remember right, says the death certificate says he died on September 21st of 2000, but they show something about 2002 instead. But given the 8 year, they mentioned 8 years ago, so what the heck?
So why are you saying 1960 then?
Oh, 1960 is when the zombie was born.
It said it was on the death report. It says on the death report.
Yeah.
And then he put breaks continuity so bad it gives me a headache. I don't blame you. Cause
Yeah.
like, okay, we
Alright,
knew the continuity.
I may have to really watch zombies again.
Yeah, you have to pause it at the right
that sounds
moment.
quite right.
That might be incorrect. But this episode sucks.
Also, this is the Call of Duty Zombies map that I really want.
Absolutely. I can't unwatch it now. Like seriously, like we all know that continuity was kind of screwed up in the original like episodes and like in the other seasons. In this season, continuity is thrown out the window. Like there was like little to no continuity in it. Like every like episode breaks continuity. I'm like, where's the consistency here, guys?
We're
This
talking about
episode.
We're talking about with the Enigma Corporation.
Yeah, I hate Enigma. It's so pointless.
I
It's
like
basically...
Enigma, but I seem to be a minority in the Lost Tapes community.
Here's the thing, like I don't mind that they did.
I have mixed feelings about the Enigma. I have mixed feelings.
Like it had potential, but it wasn't executed properly. Is that it?
I mean, I thought it was at least okay. It was not great. And obviously, I really hated the idea that these two characters, which actually remain consistent for at least 2 other episodes in this season, managed to survive, but everybody else they bring along freaking dies. And that's what really annoyed me a little bit.
Everyone else is a red shirt.
Okay, so sorry.
Yeah,
it's okay. It's okay.
No, the reason why this episode doesn't work is because A, the continuity sucks, and B, the characters are fucking morons in this. Like, I swear, every character makes a dumb move every 5 seconds. Like, I don't get. You're gonna let someone bite your arm for 5 minutes and say, "Dude, stop that, get some help." Dude, if I start doing that to you, if someone was doing that to me, I put a bullet in their head.
Yeah.
Well,
oop.
I mean, she looked
Oop.
like she was a genuine human being, so that
Yeah.
was the problem. And they even mentioned in the episode, like, that is the strongest thing a vampire, or not a vampire, a zombie could have, is that they actually look like human beings if they didn't decompose for a long time.
Then again, they did the shameless self-promotion of World War Z, which
Yeah,
cool, I
that
guess.
was a
Black
little,
Brooks, yeah.
out there.
Excessive.
Like, really?
Okay.
Really?
And this is the second one. We're gonna go into the next one, Kraken. So
Oh wait,
Let's
I
get
was gonna say
cracking.
something. Wait, I was gonna mention one thing about the zombie episode. So, just like the vampire episode on the IMDb for the zombie episode, it lists an actual address for the shooting location.
Oh my
oh
god.
dear.
Oh my god.
Oh,
You're giving me so
something
many
else-
bad ideas. You're giving me
something
way
else
too
I
many
didn't
bad
mention-
ideas. I actually now want to go
Something
there.
else. Yeah, something else I didn't mention either is that for the what's it called, for the Death Raptor episode, the filming location there is listed as I forget the name of it, but it's a Presbyterian church. So again, it's listed.
Very interesting, fascinating.
Oh my god.
Okay, so the next one is Kraken.
Let's get
So-
cracking to it.
Oh, very funny. That made me want to die.
Yeah, now
Actual
somebody
pun
kill me.
detective.
Now kill me.
Okay, I will admit something. I initially liked it. After a while, I didn't dig it. Like, it's a water
okay,
episode.
But it's not
CG.
great. It's not good.
It's a lot. I think it's a little bit better than what's it called? Than Bear Lake Monster because it builds attention slowly, I guess. But okay, so the first scene of the episode is when the oil workers. I think there's the Russian oil workers are working.
No, it was Peru. It was a Persian.
Oh, it's
I
Russian.
Oh, yeah.
believe. It was Russian. Oh, I thought it was Peru because I thought that's what it said.
Oh, it's
No,
No,
Russian.
it's a Baltic Sea, and I'm like, oh, that's probably near Peru or something.
No, the Baltic Sea is nearby Norway and Scandinavia area essentially. So, given the first episode, the first thing we see is the intro scene. This takes place in 2006, somewhere in the spring, and then 1 year later is when the rest of the episode happens.
I thought it was like the same year as that.
I heard the following spring.
Yeah,
like I'm imagining.
I tried even looking up like following spring, and it also doesn't consist of anything much. So I don't know whether it was a year or it's the same year. That's a bit of a problem by saying following spring.
Yeah, I imagine it's like the next year, but that's
When it's
hard.
the following spring, that means it's the next year.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Kraken. No.
So the Kraken attack
was-
was in 07. Okay.
So then we get to the
It
next
was
one.
whatever.
So should I spoil it for everyone in here, or if you've seen Lost Tapes and you know about the Strigoi episode?
I mean, we've already
This
effing spoiled most of the episodes anyways.
This is the last episode of the timeline. This takes place in 2010 in August, and this breaks the continuity. Actually, when Elizabeth's on the computer, if you free and looks up the guy's name, she mentions in the line that he's married, but in the next scene, when it shows what the computer says, if you freeze it, it says he's divorced. It's a minor nitpick, but what the heck?
They just didn't want to admit that's where society was going to go in the next few years.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Again, I
See-
like this episode, but I'm in the minority in the Lost Tapes community, so
Not really. Ginger likes
I-
it.
I kind of like it too, especially for its cheesiness. And a guy that actually reviewed and like looked up like what everyone else's like scariest episode is. It's by, I think his name is Wendigo, I believe. I watched some of his videos. The guy knows his craft. He knows his craft. He always pronounces his episode wrong, and it's kind of, he's like Staragoy. I'm like, dude, it's Stragoi.
Yes,
Wendigo, if you're watching this, please join on a podcast. We would love to talk with you.
Yes,
Exactly.
please.
if
Well,
any of you are
I loved your
seriously
opinion.
interested, just put it down in the comments. Don't fucking care. I'm like, if you want to be on here,
No.
then just ask. It's not hard.
And if you're pretending to like the show and you're pretending to care, get off of our channel, please, because we've run into a few people that have done that.
That's no.
No, like if they're pretending to like the show and they're pretending to care and then saying, "Oh, I never liked the show or I never cared about it." No, we don't need those people.
Yeah. All right. So okay.
those are
So
out there.
Poltergeist.
okay. So the next Poltergeist. So there's actually a few dates mentioned in this one. In May of 2005 is when the family moved in. The
Actually,
episode takes place.
no. The episode really starts with the murder on July 19th, 1985.
Yeah. I almost forgot. Yeah, I remember he told you that. But that's when I call them the PT murders because it's just how similar it is to the playable teaser for Silent Hill 5. Thanks, Konami. But
That
soon after
PG, that demo is one of the most terrifying demos I've ever seen. It is absolutely terrifying.
And then May in 2005 is when they moved in, and 4 years later is when the paranormal investigator crew investigated from June 9th to the 11th, approximately.
And then
There was a gap
I
there.
did at least add it's like sometime in 2009 is when Troy knocked over the shelf on top of his sister. Like, they didn't give us an exact day of when that happened and how long that took for the parents to then call the paranormal investigators. So I don't have an exact thing on that, but it did say in 2009 that's when it happened.
Yeah, and I rewatched the episode with Ginger, and I did see the hand, but I think it was more of an accident than saying this is gonna be a horrible episode. Too bad a certain someone named Solomon Pleasant does not like this episode. It makes me upset.
It pissed me off too.
I can see why, because, well, first of all, this is I do want to believe in this theory that this is the episode that really started Phasmophobia, like legit hardcore.
It did.
Like, but not only that, but the freaking paranormal investigators were stupid as hell. It's like, oh, he sees the murderer right behind the window, and then he says, nothing. It was just my reflection in the mirror. Like,
I will be honest. I think season 3 has some of the dumbest characters. They are the dumbest characters throughout the entire season.
I'll be fair too.
They were absolutely morons in this entire season. Like literally everyone. Like, okay, yes, I understand that everybody is dumb in like every season, but they're like retarded in these seasons. I'm like, oh my god, why are you doing that? That is no.
And then
Stop.
if I
Get
remember,
some help. Seriously, get some help.
no, and then what was it? I mean, I'll be fair with the reflection scene. When I was a little kid, when I saw it, I was like, wait a minute. Like, I thought it was like I actually looked like him when I saw it. I thought it was actually what's this, Jeremy in the mirror. I was like, for the longest time until I watched it years later.
yeah, that last scene where Jeremy is going up the stairs and it's like slowly building
terrifying.
up that tension. That is genuinely really creepy. And it took me a while to not be scared of that part either.
Yeah, that is
that part's
terrifying.
freaky.
Everything else is kind of all over the place, but it's like once you get there, that is terrifying.
Like,
Yeah.
not even the scene with Troy in
the
the
bear.
bed with the knife. Yeah, that really didn't scare me that much.
And that one didn't. That was more creepy than scary.
And we don't even have
Like
a knife
from-
that looks like that. Seriously? So I guess then you don't cook?
No,
It's
they
like-
do the cook. I guess they're paying
It's like
attention
what
to their
you
place a lot.
don't cook with a butcher knife.
The
Yeah,
secret
you don't
twist
cut-
at this. The
I
secret
cook with a
twist is
butcher
at
knife.
the secret twist at the end is that the wife really wants to murder the husband in secret because he's having an affair with the neighbor.
Oh my god!
I'm sorry, I had to make that joke, but okay. So the next one is Devil Monkey. So this one is the shortest.
Sweet Christ!
That one's
April
the shortest.
2009.
And so I question if it takes place on the same day.
I think it
Does
is
it?
the same day. All of it happened
I
on the
forgot.
same day, I think.
I
Maybe
forgot.
not
Is
the
this
deaths
episode
of
that-
the not the deaths of the moonshiners, but when the two boys were looking through the still, and then when the alcohol control board were there, I think that was the same day.
So then this is actually the shortest episode, not in terms of its timeline, but just its length. It's short, very short. Maybe by only like
This
a minute or
is
so.
probably the most action-packed episode.
Well, and so another big error with that. It's like, you know, the kid that survived is like running back and trying to get away, and they handcuff him to like a tree or something like that. It's like, why would you do that?
Actually, they
Did
did.
they handcuff
They
him?
did not handcuff him. They just decided to leave him there in that spot. When he
Wow,
was
what a bunch
literally
of
trying to
idiots.
beg, like he was literally begging them to, like, you know, take me out of here, get me out of here, and they were like, no, we gotta still do our job, so we're gonna leave you here. They didn't handcuff him to a tree or anything. That they just left him there.
But they just
Yeah.
left him to do whatever.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
he
That's
could
not
okay.
good. That's not good police work, if you ask me.
That's not good
Exactly.
police work because they're talking about whether they should hold him as a suspect or something like that. It's just like it's like regardless of how many of you there are, the procedure would be to handcuff him and take him back to the car.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is the Abominable Snowman, aka the Yeti.
Yeti, the one episode I have to watch before I ride Expedition Everest. Jesus fucking Christ.
I'm gonna be honest. This is the episode I was most disappointed with the most because it doesn't take place in the natural environment where you'd think you'd find the Yeti. It takes place in the hull of a ship.
Yeah,
Well, because I
that
think
kind of
genuinely
bothers
that would
me.
be hard to film in that environment anyway. I think it would generally be that hard to film it in Everest anyway.
Yeah, it'd be almost
You don't have to
impossible.
put it in Everest. It's like get a sound stage, fill some fake snow in there, and you've got the. It's like you don't even have to do fakes. Put fake snow in there, and you've got a set. It doesn't have to be spectacular. It just needs to look like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's like set up a cabin or something like that, and then do scenes do the exteriors in the soundstage.
all right. So this one, it mentions 2 weeks ago he went missing in the actual news report. It's unknown what the news report is, but he went missing in 2005.
They did mention a date that it was March 2005.
Yeah,
And then in March 2008, that's when the Yeti and supposedly his dead corpse were on the hull of the ship.
yeah, and also
let's not forget the stock news intro music that anyone can use nowadays.
it's the drama.
Oh my
theme.
god, yes.
You know what they say? What is up, Drama Alert Nation? I'm your host, Killer Keemstar. Let's get right into the news. James Charles is canceled. Good. Fuck him.
What is going on, Tumblr Nation? I am currently a prepubescent child stuck in a 40-year-old man's body, and I don't know what the hell how to spell letter. Anyways.
He's dyslexic, you moron. And then, okay, so it mentions in the episode Plum Island, it says in the episode that's in nearby Antarctica. I don't know if this is correct, but I did some research. It's
No,
actually in the
they
New
didn't.
England
They didn't say it
area.
was in Antarctica. No, they didn't say that.
Oh, I thought it was nearby Antarctica.
I
or at
know
least they
that
mentioned
one.
it.
Do you remember the one creature that ended up on the Jersey Shore?
Yeah.
That corpse was also taken to Plum Island, if I remember correctly.
Some Jersey Shore.
Plum Island is one of those hotbed conspiracy theory places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Wait, did you
Like
say
the-
Alex
like
Jones's favorite word?
Oh, we'll get to the
Conspiracy
conspiracy part.
theories.
Don't worry. You know
That guy's borderline nuts.
what they say. As he says, I don't want to put the chemicals in the water that make the frickin' frogs
Frogs
gay.
gay. Do you understand that?
I don't think
Say this crap.
Okay, so the next one.
No, wait. And then the one time that he got flipped off in the streets, he's like, no, come over here.
Come on over. No, you flipped me off.
You're not an intellectual. You're a fake and a fraud.
You're not an intellectual. You're a fake and a fraud.
I mean, his ex-wife was actually
for
worth
God's
his hell.
that's the only reason why, seriously, I like Alex Jones, is just the things he says are funny. I mean, all the stuff that he talks about is not exactly accurate, but the things he says sometimes are funny as hell.
Well, he's a conspiracy theorist. He's supposed to be a nutcase.
Especially that one
Yeah.
podcast that he did, and where he actually admit that he was retarded. I'm kind of retarded.
I don't know if he was joking. He might. I don't know if it was an act, but it seemed like an act called crackpot. But okay. So the next one is the best episode of the series, hands down. If you argue with me in the comments, that's not that I hate you.
I will
I'm
argue.
kidding.
I'm arguing.
It is Wendigo. Okay, so for this one, this takes place in September 2009, and it mentions beforehand it's unknown exactly, but the kids spent 1 to 14 days camping by themselves. However, this breaks the continuity because it does mention September, but however, another line of dialogue says they're on their spring break.
Which no way makes sense.
The point is they got lost in the woods.
Yes.
Exactly.
And,
They
and
got
yet-
lost
and
in
yet-
the woods for 2 weeks. Then somebody got worried and sent the entire crew out. Which the whole episode does span in 1 day. Surprisingly, it takes 1 day to find the what was her name? Lane Corey. They took it.
Yes.
They took a whole day to find her, and then they get murked anyways. So it's like, come on.
You
This
know,
one's still the best episode, I think.
yeah,
It is without a doubt the most popular. I will say, it's the most popular.
That
also
and it
like how with
definitely
the
does have its realistic moments, which a lot of people point to as their main argument as to why this episode's so good, is that it is realistic. And to be fair, I would agree that it is pretty damn realistic. It's probably the most realistic Lost Tapes has gotten. Thus far.
if you get in a situation like that where you're desperate and you can't, you're not really good at hunting and you've eaten, what wildlife you can get, there's going to be a point where you get desperate enough to think, should I go for this person? It's happened multiple times before in history. It's like you look at anything and people will eat each other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the Donner Party. It's like they got to a point where they started eating each other.
Yeah,
Agreed.
true. And I guess
That
this
and then
is mine.
that even in the episode itself, I don't have it on YouTube there, but their middle split section that they did back in the day, it even talked about when that one plane crashed through the Andes Mountains and they were eating the passengers, the dead corpses of the passengers.
they even neglected the Mothman thing. How much is the Men in Black?
Yeah, come on. How did they not do that? How did they not talk about the
FBI.
Mothman
They had the
prophecies?
they had the FBI. They had the FBI. I guess that was their Men in Black for that episode.
I guess.
So something I'm gonna point out. So my ex, when we were dating, I actually showed her this series and she liked it. But when we got to this episode, she mentioned, because it's supposed to take place in the Appalachian Mountains, she mentioned she's from from I think North Carolina. I think that's where this takes place. But she mentioned that they don't talk. They say a Appalachia with kind of an accent. It's like how the South has that twang. Well, in that area, they say the Appalachians with an accent, and she was just like, yeah, they're not saying it with that. If they want to be a little bit more, realistic, they would have said it with the accent.
Okay, so now we're getting to the bottom barrel. These are the
last
worst episode.
three.
The last one I think is the worst episode, as well as Q. Q is horrible, and it mentions a 2 months murder spree.
Worst Enigma episode. I was disappointed.
Candidly speaking, it's the first episode, and it takes place in spring of 2008. But the murders, we don't know if it takes place in sometime beforehand.
Chronologically, this is the first Enigma episode, but it's the worst.
Yeah, and it uses quite possibly the worst creature in the entire series. Choosing to use a mythological god as your creature for this particular episode then just opens a really bad can of worms.
Yeah, and one of our writers said the Quetzalcoatl actually did not like sacrifices. They should have done another god.
Yeah, it was completely done by a completely different god.
Yeah, thanks, Animal Farm, for the research. Are you also owned by the same company that put out the fake Amelia Earhart documentary? Oh wait,
yes, you are.
Okay, so
honestly, I really do hate Q. The only reason why I don't hate Q now is because of Elizabeth Maxwell, and she voices in a different show, and I've said this effing multiple times now, and it's gotten to the point where it's getting ridiculous for me to even mention it. But
okay, so next one, and let's bang this out. Okay, so 2 nights ago was mentioned Beast of Bray Road. 2 days later was the Feds raid. So definitely around March of 2009.
It was May. It was May. No, it was
May of 2009. Yeah, and this is the longest episode in terms of its length. And then Reptilian is the fucking worst, and the episode occurred.
Series finale ever.
Yeah, and then
that was the worst. It had potential, but it's like that's the worst way to go out for a series like that to go out. It deserved better.
And then the kid.
I mean, it does actually mention a date at the very beginning, but I don't think
that's
it's
when
the
same
date that the actual episode starts off at.
And yes, the Asian girl was good looking.
I didn't think she was that good looking. I didn't think she was that good looking.
See, I defend this episode sometimes, and I still kind of do. There are some decent moments in this episode. Yes, it is probably it's one of the weakest series endings probably in any TV show. But I will admit something. There are a couple decent things. The Asian was hot looking. I mean, yes, 10 out of 10 on that scale right there. I thought what?
He disagrees.
I don't think the Asian woman's hot.
Oh, okay. Well,
I have different
You've been watching too many. You've been watching High School DxD way too much, apparently.
No, it's not that. It is not that. I swear to God.
Sure.
It really isn't.
Sure.
It really isn't.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
also, another
I've
thing.
already mentioned the fact that I like the Ranger from Bigfoot. I mean, come on.
Dude, she's like in her early 40s. What the hell?
Okay, so that's when that so it takes place sometime around fall is when the actual episode happens, but
Yeah.
it's in
But they do
October. Obviously, it
Rape
takes
they do
place in
actually
one
give
day.
horrible.
a big they actually do give off a date, September 17th, 2008 was when that one Asian girl that one hot Asian girl died.
The rave scenes are absolutely horrible. There's 5 people standing around. A rave should have like
10.
minimum 20. Should have more like 50 plus.
Also, another thing that I kind of enjoyed in this episode, the fact that the bodies got hung up and wrapped up, that was actually kind of cool. That was a like, oh, that's a little.
Make them
It's
literally
unique,
look
and
like
you get to see its tail. But the thing that ruined it is you fucking see the guy constantly. You can clearly see him like within the first 5 minutes of the show or of the episode, and that's what ruined it.
So now we get to the timeline. The timeline events are as follows, and will be changed over time. Zombie is this is I break this down into different sections. I call this pre 2002 section.
Yep.
In August 18th of 1960 is when the zombie was born. The guy that later became the zombie episode. In 1967, this is when the entirety of the Mothman episode occurs. August 23rd, 1977, the what's her name? From Owlman?
I'm trying to remember. Hazel Van Leer has her encounter in Cornwall.
In 1985, July 19th, this is when the PT murders occurred during Poltergeist.
All
So,
right, it's fine, Matthew.
Here, I'll record a quick outro. My name is so for those of you who want to see me on the internet on YouTube, my full name is Matthew Salzer. Matthew spelled biblically, Salzer, Salzer. And thanks for letting me on. Okay, I'm gone.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Later,
Bye,
Matt.
Matthew.
Bye, Matt.
I'll talk to you guys on the server.
And Kanto, I was good time. Okay. So, okay, this is a little bit longer than expected. So, in 1999, in June, approximately, is when the first episode is when the Death Crawler incident was recorded. In 2000, in September 21st, 2000, is when the zombie dies, at least according to the birth certificate. And in the winter of 2001, in response to the terrorist attacks in 9/11, the Cave Demon, the bombing campaign of Cave Demons begins.
Yes.
And now we're in the 2002 section. Cave Demons occurs January 24th to the 25th of 2002. Approximately June of 2002 is when the episode occurs of the Death Crawler episode occurs. December 2nd of 2002 is when the beast killings occurred, which is mentioned in the Werewolf episode. And in a few months later, at least according to the line of dialogue in Zombie, the zombie dies. The guy who's the zombie. 2003 is when the episode for Werewolf begins and has the 21st victim. 2004, nothing.
How about I do the next few?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, 2005. In the Yeti episode, it's 2 weeks ago, and this is when Mark Horstrom goes missing in March. The Poltergeist episode. That's when the Redding family moved into the house in May. The Bigfoot episode.
Poltergeist? You mean vampire?
No, it's Poltergeist. You
said the Redding family. You said the Redding family. Redding wasn't zombie, or Redding was vampire.
So then,
whatever. Let's just say the
Goldens,
family
the
from.
Goldens, the Goldens. That's what they were.
Yeah.
That's
All
what.
Yeah,
the
the Golden
Goldens.
family.
So that was my mistake on that. Then the Bigfoot episode happened between August 2nd to August 14th. Then the Hellhound, and we're still not sure about this, happened in the autumn of 2005. Then Kraken starts in 2006 with the opening attack scene in that episode. Then the Jersey Devil happened 8 hours over the summer of 06. Then the Chupacabra episode happened July 5th through the 7th of 06. Then the what was SM?
SM.
Swamp Monster.
Swamp Monster.
Monster.
Swamp Monster. Thank you. And then Swamp Monster happened between October 13th, aka my birthday, through October 14th of 06. Then Dover Demon happened within a 2-day period of April 21st through April 22nd of 2007. Then we're still not sure about Skinwalker, but we are saying that it's around spring break of the same year of 07. Then the Kraken happened in the following spring of 07, so the actual episode itself. Then
Beast of Monterey Bay.
the Small Killer happened
Yes.
July 17th of that year, and her actual expedition, I just do want to point that out, started January 27th of that same year. Then the Owlman, or no, sorry,
SS is Southern Sasquatch.
The Southern Sasquatch happened in. Oh, okay. Now this is inconsistent. All right, so I have to fix that. So the Owlman episode did happen on October 23rd of 07. Then then Southern Sasquatch starts off in November of 07. I'm thinking around the 14th, maybe, just to keep it consistent here. And then Thunderbird happened from the 16th through the 17th of 07. And then
Can I do the rest of the list?
If you want, sure.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. Then we get to 08, and that's when the Yeti happened in March of 08. Though Plum Island is in New England, not in Antarctica. And then Q happened. Yay! Fuck that episode. Absolutely fucking terrible. All I need to say about that episode. That was in spring of 08. Lizardman, May 4th, 18? 2 weeks. Oklahoma Octopus.
You forgot to mention, and 2 months beforehand is the murders of the sacrifices for Q.
Yes, correct.
And then
I don't give a shit because that episode fucking blows. Anyways, Oklahoma Octopus graduation May or June 2008. Alien June 16th before the hospital. 72-hour analysis may have occurred in 12 through 24 hours of 08.
So it actually occurred June 16th to the 17th, approximately.
Yes.
Okay. Pearlic Monster, June 21st, 08. Megaconda happened in the summer of 08. Was that another Oklahoma Octopus?
The possible date for the Oklahoma Octopus incident is August of 2008.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, and then Deathworm happened June 6th of 08. And then Reptilian.
Fuck that episode. Fuck it.
It is a wet fart on the entire season.
No, it is a middle
September
finger to it. The entire episode, if you guys want to
September.
know, is just a giant middle finger. That's what it is.
Essentially.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure if you let Alex Jones watch that episode, he'll have a major hard on for it.
Yeah, he'll have a field day.
anyways,
He'll have a field day.
September 17th of 08, fall of 08 occurs in September or October occurs in one day. All right,
Actually, Ginger, you don't have to read it exactly. Reptilian occurs. The beginning scene occurs September 17th of 2008, but however, most likely it occurred during October to November of 2008.
Yeah.
A few months after, and take place in one day.
Oh, okay. 09, Vampire, April 5th, 2009, gas station attack. Funny, my brother would have been, let's see, he would have been 5. No, he would have been 4. He would have been 4, fun fact. Devil Monkey, April 2009, maybe the same day. I think it actually did occur the same day, I believe.
Yeah, it is. It does.
Okay, Bray Road, Beast of Bray Road. 2 nights was the Bray Road monster attack. It happened May of 09. May of 09.
2 days later was the Fed's attack, so something between approximately a week period.
Yeah. White River, 1 week later of June of 09. And Poltergeist, as it said, Poltergeist. May 9th, the 9th of June through to the 11th of June of 09.
The family
Vampire,
moved out shortly after.
Yeah, Vampire. That's when the family got the house, July 5th, and then I believe they moved out 10th through the 11th.
No, that's when the attack occurred.
Oh yeah,
the attack occurred during. The attack occurred during July 10th to the 11th.
Yeah. And then Wendigo, 1 through 14, 2 weeks day. That's how many? 2 weeks.
2 weeks time.
Yeah, September 2009. But again, the continuity got fucked up. And then
Ginger, I'll do the complicated ones. Okay, so Wendigo occurs within the students go from 1 to 14-day period camping, approximately 2 weeks, in September 2009. A few weeks after the team was called to investigate the disappearance. However, this breaks the continuity because you mentioned one of the lines of dialogue mentioned spring break, even though the narration said September 2009, but occurs in 2009. Vampire a few months later, unknown, but assuming it's in October or September is when the village started reporting attacks of the vampire. All right, I'll read the last two. In 2010, February 6th, Mardi Gras is when the vampire attacked a local village.
Vampire.
Sorry.
Zombie.
Sorry. Is when the zombie attacked a local village elder, sparking a panic within the village. Mm-hmm. And approximately a week later is when the team investigated the house of vampire. And then the last event of the timeline, sometime during August, the oil rig was attacked, and Enigma was sent. However, this breaks the continuity with one minor nitpick with the guy. And this is the Lost Tapes timeline. I hate it. It's very inconsistent.
And trust me when I say this, and spoiler alert to my audience, I will officially be doing a proper timeline not right after this, but probably sometime in October, I will do an official timeline to legitimately put it down so that everybody at least has a good idea of what it could be.
Yeah. Yes, and
it's just we need a lot more research apparently. So.
Yes, and season 4 is coming, kids. Don't worry, we'll see you soon.
Exactly.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone who joined. Mm-hmm. And yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say, Smog?
Well, nothing really much. I mean, so I guess this is really the end of the podcast, guys. I'll record a proper intro right after this. But if you guys enjoyed, if you guys really enjoyed the podcast, leave a like, comment down below, let us know what you guys think about the timeline and everything like that.
Please
Us know
give us
if there's
corrections.
let us know if you do find something out about a particular episode. We would really appreciate that as fans overall. Like B-Rad said, don't worry, we are still working on season 4. It is coming. It's just taking us fucking decades to get anything done, but it's still fine. We're all good. Go ahead.
We're just having some technical difficulties. Like we got to make sure everybody has their mental state of mind, and we care about our health, obviously, and we have helped each other out because we had to deal with a lot of depression and all that bullshit.
Yes. And if
Exactly.
you guys need someone to talk to, please don't be afraid. We can even discuss with you on here.
Right.
Please say something.
And
but yeah, thank you everyone
and
for
always
watching.
Subscribe to the channel if you're interested to seeing this topic anymore, or otherwise continuing to say that I'm milking the shit out of this thing, which clearly I'm not. I'm not milking this. And until next time, guys. I am the DM.